The Roman Gabriel Show. Listen to The Roman Gabriel Show at RomanGabrielShow.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Roman Gabriel Show.
Welcome to The Roman Gabriel Show, RomanGabrielShow.com. On streaming television at dbnatelevision.tv, and of course everywhere you get your podcasts, social networking, YouTube, and on Facebook. We're at Super Bowl 56, coming to you from Corona Del Mar properties right here in the middle of paradise, Corona Del Mar, California, my old stomping grounds down here. And with me is my co-host. Well, she was on Fox Sports many years, and she's got a lot of great stuff going on. Veteran out here in Southern California, Deb Carson. Deb, how are you?
It is wonderful to be here, especially with the Rams in the Super Bowl and the Bengals, and it's beautiful down here in Orange County today. But it's a lot of fun to be here with you and also to support Sold Out Youth Foundation, obviously.
Big night coming up tonight. We've got the Legends and Leaders Party over at UCI at the Cove, absolutely. 10 minutes away. So got a bunch of legends coming in tonight. We talked about that. And sitting next to me is a USC legend, Cleveland Browns, NFL, and he's got a great book that he's getting ready to come up with here soon. We were talking before the show. Paul McDonald with us, Trojan. How are you doing, Paul?
Roman, thanks for having me on your show. And Deb, great to be next to you. And what an exciting week, as you pointed out. Lots going on. I know your plate is full, and it's so great to be on your show just to share the excitement of the week and everything that you're doing.
Okay, so Paul, I'm going to be selfish here because growing up in Southern California like I did, I was a big Trojans fan. You loved USC football, man. Loved to watch you play. And what's it like to have played at USC, played in the NFL, and be right here living where you made your name?
Well, I was privileged, to have the opportunity to play at SC. I was always an overachiever in life. I came in as the ninth on the depth chart at USC, right? I was one of 9 quarterbacks. And so I was just blessed to be there. I was just like, God, I'm actually here. I'm really excited to be here and put the Cardinal gold on and get to run out of the tunnel at the Coliseum. And, I worked hard. I had a coach that believed in me. I had an opportunity, and I performed, and was surrounded by such great athletes like, Brad Buddy and Anthony Munoz, Keith Van Horn.
Yeah, you weren't worried about getting hit
Charles
a lot,
White.
were you?
We had Charles White. So I'm the answer to a trivia question. Name the quarterback in modern era who played in the same backfield with 2 Heisman Trophy winners. One was Charles White, the other was Marcus Allen. Yeah.
Well,
so someone had to hand the ball off.
Paul, that was the tradition for USC, was to earn the tailback spot. You blocked at fullback, right? People are always surprised at that.
Yeah. Ricky Bell. Charles didn't have to go through that. Charles White did not, but Ricky Bell did. Lynn Kane actually was a tailback. They moved him to fullback, and so he stayed at fullback and played with the Falcons for a number of years. But yeah, it was very interesting that great Marcus Allen story. So first day of training camp, first time he's ever played fullback. We're running student body right. He goes around, lead blocks for Charles White. He gets KO'd by Larry McGrew. Just raked him, got his elbow in his face mask, breaks his nose. Marcus goes over, takes his helmet off. He's on a knee. The trainer puts some tape over his nose. He's on a knee. And the running back coach, John Jackson, comes over, the late John Jackson comes over and says, "What are you doing, Marcus?" "Well, I got tape." Get in there. Put your helmet on. Get in there. He went back in. So Marcus, to this day, would attribute to the fact that playing fullback really helped him achieve what he achieved in his career.
He was a great pass blocker.
He's a great pass blocker, toughness.
Blitz pickup.
Yeah.
I was with Marcus with the Raiders my first year, and that was an honor because it's like to hand off to him. But everybody looks at his speed and says 4.6. But I tell you what, to the hole and through the hole, that's not 4.6. It's a lot faster than that. I mean, he was amazing.
You can't get a clean shot on him.
No.
He's gliding and sliding and just had a tremendous feel for running with the football.
Well, and the other thing was, on the goal line, he's 6'2", he's almost 6'2",
right.
But he holds the record for scoring like inside the 5-yard line. How he made himself so small, he could put himself in interesting positions. He was just so great on the goal line.
Yeah, tremendous player. And so I got to play with guys like that at USC, and I was just privileged to be there. And like I said, someone had to hand the ball off, and I got to throw it a little bit. And we actually opened it up in the passing game. So that was one of the, I told Coach Robinson last night, I was with him at dinner. It was great to see him. He's 87 years old, iconic coach, Hall of Fame, college Hall of Fame coach. at SC, and I told him, I said, you know what I'm most proud of at USC? Is that I was really the first guy, first quarterback, where they started to feature the pass. And especially my senior year, the end of my junior year, but my senior year, we actually threw the ball 30, 40 times sometimes, right? And all the quarterbacks that followed me, in the passing game kind of opened up. So that was really, for me, that was the benefit. And to live here in Southern California, where, especially in Orange County, where everyone's a Trojan or every other person's a Trojan, it certainly doesn't present an issue for me. It's great because there's that common thread of fight on and let's win the game and let's go to the Rose Bowl. And it's been a down year, a few years for us, but now with Lincoln Riley back, everyone's expecting great things.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you feel about Riley coming in? I mean, able to swing a quarterback, obviously, from the Sooners to the Trojans, first day on the job, basically, or a commit, I should say. How do you feel his impact is going to be on the Trojans?
Immense.
Yeah.
They haven't even played a game, and everyone's like so excited, for what lies ahead because of what he's done on the recruiting trail. We're a very unique time in college football with the portal, where it's like free agency in college sports. I don't think there are elements of it that are not good, but there are elements that are good, like anything that's new, right? And so I think they need to build some structure around that because in the NFL, you've got a window of free agency, but now in college football, it's 24/7, 365. Which presents issues, right, for retaining guys. But he's taken advantage of that. He's pulled the best of the best that's out there, and that's going to help him immensely. And then the NIL, the name, image, and likeness thing is completely different now, where the players can get paid. Can you believe that, Roman?
The USC, you might have been able to retire.
I might have been. So everybody knows what he can do on offense. My big question is, if I was sitting with him, I'd ask him, what about the defense?
Right.
There you go.
What about the guys up front running the football? You got to be able to do that to win the big games against the elite teams.
Yeah, you're exactly right. With us, Paul McDonald, former USC Trojan, Cleveland Browns, right here on AM 820, the Big Eight. Remember, sportstalkflorida.com. Paul, one of the things about this game coming up, Super Bowl, obviously the Coliseum has a lot of history. These new fans of the Rams don't know about that history, the Olympic history, the Rams being in the Coliseum. Of course, when I grew up, when I was about 9 years old, it was O.J. Simpson, and then it was McKay, and then it was Hayden. The Rams and the Trojans really dominated the news out here. They filled the Coliseum up, 106,000 people. And, back at that time, the Dodgers were big, but the Angels really weren't. The Kings weren't. The Lakers really weren't that big at that time. So tell me about the tradition of the Coliseum for you in terms of playing in the Coliseum.
That's a great question. The front cover of my book, the title of it is Through the Tunnel, and it has me walking out of the tunnel of the Coliseum, cool. Right? And you can see the field from the back of me. So, it's just an iconic structure, the history behind it that you mentioned with the Olympics and the Rams. And you're right. I mean, I remember in Trojans, we were front page news of the sports section.
That's right.
Like all the time.
LA Times.
Right, LA Times, yeah. And the Herald Examiner, and yeah. So it's, just a phenomenal structure. I think the changes they did when they updated the structure really added to it. They kept the exterior, so it's got that feel, and you still have the flame.
They didn't ruin the tradition of it.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
That's what I noticed. I hadn't been there since the USFL. I played there in '83 against the Express. And so I hadn't been back there since. And so when the Rams came back to LA, I came out 3 years ago for a Packer game. And, all the emotions flooded because I remember you walk through that ivy into the tunnel, and then you see that light, and then you come out and it's boom. The old clock, of course it was the clock. When my dad was playing, you're like watching, well, how much time do we really have? It's like soccer. But
the temperature dial, it never moves.
That's right. But, the other thing I was going to ask you, the Rose Bowl to a USC Trojan or to a UCLA Bruin, anybody in California, the Rose Bowl is the granddaddy. It always has been, and to me, it still is. What's it like playing in the Rose Bowl and in that atmosphere of 101,000 people on New Year's Day?
I remember the last Rose Bowl I played in the 1980 Rose Bowl. So that was a game after the 1979 season, and we were playing Ohio State, and they were ranked number 1, and we were ranked at 3 or 4 or something. I walked out of the tunnel early outs, even before I was in my uniform, and just sat in the stands. I went into the stands and sat and just
wow.
looked around. Because I knew it was my last college game, and that stadium is just remarkable, right? It's even has a more intimate feel than a Coliseum because it's a lower profile and there's not a bad seat in the house. And so it's just it's kind of a mystical experience, really, to be able to play on those iconic fields, and to say that you were part of such amazing history is special.
Paul, where'd you go to high school out here?
Bishop Amat.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
And that's where Hayden went.
Hayden went there,
right?
McKay went there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Followed those guys. John Shara went to UCLA.
Yeah.
And for those people not in Southern California, that is one of the, it can be a quarterback factory. It's basically a football factory.
Yeah, the headlines today are Modern Day and St. John Bosco, but
Right.
Bishop Amat's still a great powerhouse, and they play elite football. But back in the day, they were the team, So it was, I shot for the stars and hit the moon. So I mean, it was pretty good, right? Because going to a big school like that and being able to play, and then that allowed me to get exposure and get to USC and so forth.
I was just going to ask you. Obviously, USC was your first choice from the get-go, but what were the other colleges?
I was
that
not highly
recruited you?
recruited. I was not highly recruited. No. I tell a story, but it only takes one
Of course.
person that believes in you, right? Whether it's a parent, a friend, a coach, you have that one person that believes in you and can support you, encourage you to develop and grow into that which you're meant to be. And I had that guy, and that guy was Paul Hackett, and he was the coach at Cal. So Cal was recruiting me because I played as a sophomore in high school, had some good games, and so that I got on their radar, and so I was going to Cal. So there was, and beyond that, it was New Mexico, Santa Clara, because I wasn't,
I went to New Mexico.
You went to New Mexico? Okay,
But I got
good.
recruited. I was supposed to go to Cal.
Okay.
This is so scary.
Yeah.
I was supposed to. Literally. You remember the whole JC controversy of getting guys not going to class and that
True.
whole deal.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, they fired Roger Theater, who
Yes.
was recruited me. So I got no scholarship, and so I get a call from Joe Morrison the last minute from New Mexico, and he's like, "Hey, we know you can throw the ball. You got a scholarship. If you want to come up here for a trip, great, but you're in."
Right.
So I was like,
Yeah.
"Come in, give me that plane flight up there." But the whole Cal thing during that time, and then Elway chose to go to Stanford at that time because I thought for sure he was going to USC, man.
I hosted John Elway.
Did you really?
Yeah, I hosted. So it's funny stories though.
Wow.
So he took him around town, went to dinner, went to some I think basketball game or something like that, and had a great time. And but it was very clear to me where his heart was leaning. And so I go in and talk to the coaches, the FC coaches after Elway leaves. It's a Sunday afternoon. So how'd it go? How'd it go with John? Is he coming? I go, no, he's going to Stanford. Like, what? Well, what'd you do with him? What were you doing with him? I go, well, I did all the stuff I was supposed to do, but I'm just telling you, he's going to Stanford.
Wow. Well, we got a couple minutes left with Paul McDonald, USC, Cleveland Browns, and right here in the Roman Gabriel Show. Paul, tell us about your endeavor right now, your book. Let us know what you're doing.
Well, much like what you're doing with your organizations and everything, there's a dramatic need, I think, for kids out there today to have guidance and an understanding of how to do life, right? And how to do it successfully, and the fact that the encouragement and empowerment that they can be all that they can be, right? They can have the world they want. So I have a story, like everyone on this planet has a story, so I told my story, and it basically starts with me heading down a path that wasn't right for me. And I took the next decade to figure out Paul, basically, and it gets into detail how that occurred in the book. And I shifted my perspective of life and what it's all about. Because we're really just playing a game down here on this planet, right? We're moving if you look at a game board, we're moving these pieces around. We're moving our own pieces around. And sometimes we're doing it out of habit, most of the time out of habit. Most of the time it's unconscious of why we're doing what we're doing. So the book is about bringing things to a conscious level, to really understanding who you are, your gifts, what you're all about, what you want in life, where your passions lie. And if you can take that and then do those things in life, you're going to do really well. You're never going to work a day in your life, right?
Well, you're describing in our organization what we tell kids all the time about being intentional, about being urgent and intentional about your life.
Massively important.
So what's the name of the book?
Through the Tunnel.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's the whole Coliseum thing.
So Coliseum. So you're walking through the tunnel to go to play the game, but it's also the tunnel of life.
Well, Paul, we got to have you back, when you get ready to
Love
have
to.
the book. And I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to have you on the show and for you to come down here today with us. That's so awesome. This makes it even better. So glad to meet you.
Well, we're kind of brothers from a different mother, I think. We got so much in common, so we got more to catch up on. And Deb, great to spend some time with you again.
Thank you. You too, Paul.
Paul McDonald on the Roman Gabriel Show. When we come back, more from Corona Del Mar properties right here in Corona Del Mar. SportsTalkFlorida.com, AM 820, The Big 8. Hey, man, great job.
Great job.
The Roman Gabriel Show. Listen to the Roman Gabriel Show at RomanGabrielShow.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Roman Gabriel Show.
And it really showed my first event when I swam the preliminaries for the relay. Boy, I bombed. I was so nervous, and I just didn't know how to deal with the pressure and stuff. And so I was lucky to have someone who was my idol sort of take me under their wing that day and just distract me and get my mind off of what happened, so I'd be able to swim at night and swim faster. And I was very appreciative of that, but it definitely was a lot different, doing it as a 17-year-old than as a 41-year-old mom.
You did it all the way to 41, which people would have thought at the time was wow. And being a mom as well, you and Tom Brady have some real similarities, because he's a fitness guy in body, mind, spirit, nutrition, his new TB12 line. So you had a similar ride. I mean, in terms of what people's expectations were, what your performance was at an older age, which for an athlete was you're not old at all, but for an athlete in the Olympics, wow, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to meet him sometime and talk to him about it. But from what I read with the stuff he does, it sounds like he sort of did stuff similar to me, where you listen to your body. If you need to take a step back, you take a step back. I'm sure he has the mentality like I did, where the more you do, the better. And you sort of have to curb that as you get older, because it's all about what your body can do, not what everyone else is doing. And it sounds like he really was dialed into the nutrition program that he was on, and just seemed to do everything right. And he allowed his body to recover by doing that. And that's the key when you're older, is allowing your body to recover so you can come back the next day and be at the top of your game.
So when you prepared for your last Olympics at 41, hey everybody, thanks for watching the Roman Gabriel Show. And for more exclusive video and audio archives, go to our official website at RomanGabrielShow.com. That's RomanGabrielShow.com, and enjoy. We'll see you soon.
Listen to the Roman Gabriel Show at RomanGabrielShow.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
RomanGabrielShow.com, right here at AM 820, The Big 8. Remember to go online, check out my RG Show internet page at SportsTalkFlorida.com. And we've got a huge event, Leaders and Legends, a Super Bowl celebration at UCI. E&P Institute at the Cove, about 10 minutes away tonight. We're going to have about 25 NFL legends that'll be there, including Rams legends like, Fred Dreyer, Vince Ferragamo, Leroy Irvin. Super Agent Lee Steinberg will be there. Michael Warren, Paul McDonald. It's going to be a great night, hosted by this young lady, Deb Carson, to my side. We're going to have a great time tonight, and you can't do these kind of things without sponsors. And I want to thank all of our sponsors that have stepped up during a very difficult time in Southern California to help us reach $100,000, our goal this year, to raise for the Sold Out Youth Foundation. Go to soldouttv.com. Check out what we're doing for youth in your area and all over the country. Drug and alcohol absence program, character program for school 6th and 9th graders. So coming in with me, he's Dr. Philip Yu of Laser Med. He has a technology that is helping many, many people overcome some very painful things. And bottom line is, our host here at Corona Del Mar Properties, Wayne Smith, has actually been treated by it. Lee Steinberg, our agent friend, has been treated by him. So Dr. Yu, welcome to the Roman Gabriel Show.
Pleasure to come.
Hey, it's great to be with you, and great to have you as the title sponsor tonight. of the Legions and Legends.
It's an honor, so yeah.
Well, tell me, I've talked to Wayne. I've been a friend of his for about over 3 years now. And one thing my wife and I have been worried about him because he has a hard time getting around with his knees, a lot of pain. And we've been wondering what he's going to do to get this thing taken care of. And so he came to see you, and there's no such thing as miracle cures, but he says that it feels a little bit better even after his first treatment. So tell me about Laser Med and about laser and about how this whole technology works.
Yeah, it all started back in graduate high school '88 in the Detroit suburbs. I went to Michigan State. Got the Rose Bowl that year.
There you go.
Sorry. And then I studied health education, human performance, and one of the subclasses, athletic training. So you work with the players there. Gee, who was there back then? Tony Mandarich.
Oh, that's right.
Obviously when he got drafted, he got
Number
sick,
one
unfortunately.
overall,
Yeah. I mean, and then Percy Snow.
Yeah.
Danny
great
Enos
linebacker.
is the quarterback,
Wow.
so he's coaching for
That
Maryland
was a good
now.
football team.
Yeah, and then I would, we'd treat the players, and I was like, wow, I like this stuff, So, eventually studied some more sports medicine, got my pre-med. But I wanted to stay the natural. I wanted to get more like a hands-on rehabilitation type, treatment regimen. So I moved to Chicago, got accepted at the National College of Chiropractic, got my doctorate in chiropractic, then got a subspecialty in sports chiropractic.
Wow.
In '88, I was recruited to treat athletes at the Olympic Games in Beijing, and I would treat the retired guys like Dick Fosbury, and then guys like Michael Phelps would come to get treated, and then we started, when I came back to the States, one of my friends, he's a 10-year NFL veteran. He's a local here, went to high school Newport Beach here, John Wilborn.
Okay.
Went to Berkeley, 10 years NFL, offensive tackle, mostly for the Eagles. He would lecture at one of the Navy SEAL teams about performance nutrition. And so he dragged me to Virginia, and he said, hey, why don't you bring, we use these laser technologies to get people out of
When was
chronic
this?
pain. Gee, this was 2014-ish or
Okay.
something.
Yeah.
It's funny because the reason why I got into this is because I hurt into my disc when I was at Michigan State. My
Okay.
roommate was a walk-on in the football team. He'd sneak me in, and we'd lift weights with those guys, but I couldn't keep up, and I jacked my back up, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta get out of pain so I could keep training, right?
Yeah.
It forced me to, find these therapies so I can get into stuff like I do. Like,
Well, I was going to say, really what you're about is not just retired people who are bone on bone
Yeah.
and who really need to grow
Well,
cartilage.
sports performance.
Sports performance. But what
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about too is what
Yeah.
you just mentioned about guys like Phelps and some of these other
Yeah.
elite athletes you work with. So what does a laser therapy do for a athlete that is a top-notch athlete in terms of how he can benefit from it?
Yeah, so I didn't treat Phelps directly, but he had, when I was in China, I studied some traditional Chinese medicine. He had what's called cupping. The Chinese figured out the root cause of most pain and disease is inflammation and lack of chi energy. The blood doesn't move. So, he swims so much that his whole back is like tight, a lot of muscle knots. And he had the cupping, and that would release all the fascia. and-
Which is
yeah.
a technique that chiropractors are using now, right?
Exactly, yeah. Mainly Oriental medical doctors,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, it's a subspecialty. they're
I know a
doing.
lot about chiropractic because I started chiropractic when I was about 18, so I see a chiropractor about twice.
Yeah,
a
so
month.
in Illinois, I got a subspecial certification in acupuncture, and we can do the cupping. and
Oh,
all
great!
that.
Wow, you do it all.
Well, since I've retired from chiropractic and sports chiropractic because of limitations in the scope, and now I'm working on my PhD in stem cell biology,
Wow.
which, yeah, it's a new field of medicine, which you can do a lot more things.
Dr.
Yeah.
Philip Yu is with us, Laser Med, right here. He has an office in Garden Grove. Offices are at Palm Springs. Is that right?
So we got, our main one is North County, Garden Grove, next to the Garden Grove Hospital. I got a small boutique clinic right here in Newport Beach,
Okay.
Fashion Island. And then Palm Desert, yeah, we have another boutique clinic out there
I
too.
wish you'd have been there when I was playing football there.
Yeah, there you go.
I would've
Yeah.
found
Centennial?
you. My dad would have
You
found
went to
I went to
Centennial?
College of the Desert for 2 years.
Okay, COD. There
Yeah.
you go.
Well, my dad with his knee stuff and his shoulder, that could have been great for him at that time. So for an NFL player that's looking for an edge or later in his career, trying, kind of a Tom Brady type of person, what do you do for them?
Well, it's not what I do. It's basically what the technology does, right? Like some athletes, who've had these stem cell therapies, most of them would have to go overseas. Like there's this one quarterback, I don't know if I could say his name, but he had a herniated disc in his neck.
Somebody who played long.
Yeah.
I was just gonna give you.
I was gonna say that. Sounds
This
like somebody I know.
quarterback flew to Switzerland, had stem cells,
Is
and then
that right?
he won the Super Bowl,
Yes, with a
for a
different
team
team.
that was named
Yeah.
after a horse, right? And then Jack Nicklaus, he's a golfer, but guess what? He could have played football at Ohio State.
That's
He was
right,
an
he was
awesome
an excellent
athlete,
football
but he
player.
chose golf. But golf is like, that's damaging to your spine. It's a
Right.
one-sided sport. He wore his back out when he was 79. One day, he couldn't stand up, couldn't play golf, couldn't play tennis. So he flew to Munich, had stem cells there. Now he's like 81, 82.
So you're making
back to golf, back to tennis.
So you're making this available now in the United States, to where people can get it right here, and not have to go anywhere. Now, tell me about. Is it covered by insurance, or cost wise? What do we?
So that being said, the reason why all these high-end athletes went to Europe is because when they had it done, it wasn't approved. It's still not approved for most treatments, and then it was banned, right? But if you have the means, you could afford to fly to Germany and have it done. Most people can't. That being said, there are certain FDA guidelines where you can use a limited amount of.
Here.
Yeah, we call them human tissue products, afterbirth products. The regulations are very strict. Like you can't claim anything. I can't say, oh, I can use stem cells to cure this disorder. What I can say is, well, we're using this, donated human umbilical cord tissue product, and that's going to help cushion, provide support to like joints or torn structures.
So your client's somebody who has the means, and of course athletes who are looking for the edge, and guys that are out of the game who are in pain. How do you see this going in terms of the future for stem cell?
Because the FDA is being more stringent on what you could do here, if you can't get a patient in official study, we actually use technology to actually stimulate your body's own stem cells to activate yourself. Okay.
Is that where the lasers come in?
That's where the laser, certain wavelengths of light and laser stimulate your body's own stem cells. They're called endogenous stem cells, what you were born with. There's certain technologies from Germany. There's a new machine called SoftWave, and that is clinically proven to activate connective tissue. He had one of the technologies, the machine, the OrthoWave, the OrthoGold SoftWave stem cell signaling machine. And look, he's walking pretty much pain-free.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then, Dr. Yu, is that something he's going to have a certain number of treatments over time, or is it kind of have one, wait and see how much his body regenerates on its own?
So, it takes years for knees to get bone on bone. I mean, decades. I mean, it starts in your teens, you overdo things. So I'm very practical. So if it take like 20, 30 years for your knees to wear out, give it at least a year to, get back into pain-free living, regenerate. We did have a patient in one of our knee studies. She's 88, bone on bone, didn't want a replacement. And we have the before and after x-rays. Before it's bone on bone, 7 months later, you can visually see the cartilage regenerate, walking around pain-free. So, these are with an S. Folks who need a higher dose of cells, we have to take them overseas, just like one of the clinics I'm working in Colombia. Jim McMahon had to go down
Jim went
there.
down?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
a lot of disabled. Now he's golfing pain-free.
Oh, great.
So,
Still barefooted, probably too. like he
yeah.
does.
So I had Jim talk to Lee about his experience.
Oh,
So I
great.
took Lee down there, and now we're stimulating the cells with this German machine, and he's finally getting results.
Oh,
for
that's
his
great. That's
conditions,
great to
too.
hear. I know Jim's
Yeah.
had some real struggles physically in the last 10, 15 years. We're thankful for you, thankful for your sponsorship, and appreciate you coming in to the Roman Gabriel Show.
Yeah, awesome time. Thanks for inviting me.
Dr. Philip Yu, Laser Med, Palm Desert, Newport Beach, Garden Grove. When we come back, more on the Roman Gabriel Show at AM 820, the Big 8, Sports Talk, Florida.com, RomanGabrielShow.com. We'll be right back.